control the vertical.
Welcome to Anthologic, the TV anthology podcast. I am your host, Mark. Anthologic is a podcast dedicated to exploring the good, the bad, and the odd of horror, science fiction, and the best of mystery suspense anthology shows and series on TV. Join me as we slip through the cracks of reality to approach the extremes of experience, where we can peruse the stories and art of a sinister fairground of strange and wonderful rides. And now we go on to the show that is the focus of this particular episode. Welcome to this episode of Anthologic with your host Mark. Today we are talking about The Outer Limits. It's Season 1, Episode 22. It's called Specimen Unknown. Directed by Gerd Oswald, written by Stephen Lord. Cinematography, very distinctive cinematography, I have to say, by Conrad Hall. Its actual production code was number 10, but it aired as episode 22. First aired on February the 24th, 1964. There's a few faces you might recognise from sort of 60s TV and movies. The standout one for me is Richard Jekyll, who I've seen him lots of things, but I couldn't place him, but I have seen him in lots of things. He's like got an all-American look about him, blonde guy, blue eyes. He's got an all-American look about him. He's one of the astronauts. Right, so this show involves a crew of a space station finding some unusual object around the sort of airlock and parts of the space station. They bring it inside to study it. First, one of them calls them space barnacles because they're just sticking to the outside, but they turn into like weird mushroom seeds, then mushrooms, and then flowers. And no one's quite sure what they're all about. Yeah. And then it all goes south. I'll get into the plot a bit more in a minute. But essentially, this is kind of a kind of mix-up. I'll tell you what, it reminded me a lot of Apollo 13, the movie Apollo 13, because it deals with, like, NASA control, or, you know, the control center, being all tense and worried. One of the wife of one of the astronauts is there looking anxious and sort of clutching a handkerchief kind of character. But there's also touches of, like, Quatermass and Quatermass experiment specifically, and as influenced by the Quatermass experiment, also the Colour Out of Space from Lovecraft. There's a touch of that. They've brought something back, right? That's what it is. Now, the main character was one of the first characters who finds this stuff is Lieutenant Howard, played by Dabney Coleman. Weirdly not credited, so I don't know if he wanted his name off the credits or what, I don't know. So they find these things that are kind of weird mushroom things. But once they get inside to light and air, they start to grow aggressively, and then they flower. So these are like almost space spores, you know, floating through the universe. And, you know, someone I think surmises they might have been floating through the universe for millions of years, possibly. So once they study it, the thing is, the flowers eventually kind of fire out these weird seeds and gas, which is deadly. And there's a Star Trek episode where someone gets, Spock I think, gets fired on by some plant, and it releases his, or unlocks his emotional side. It basically lowers his ability to resist showing emotions. And the effect was much the same, actually. Meanwhile, on Earth, they kind of don't know what to do about this, but they're not going to let him back because they think it might be deadly to Earth. And actually, there's a whole sequence where they have to put on spacesuits, reminiscent of Alien, the end of Alien, with Ripley puts on the spaceship, and they conduct a funeral service in spacesuits, which is weirdly affecting. And there's a lot of dark and light and shade in this. Conrad Hall is doing a great job with his lighting and making it moody and noirish. And adding to the tension. The music also adds to the tension. Quite enjoyed it. It's not entirely memorable. It's not a particularly memorable episode. Nothing really stands out. But while you're watching it, it delivers. It's totally fine. And ultimately, these astronauts who aren't supposed, are supposed to kind of resist these things. It gets out of control. The spaceship crash lands, but not in the place they think. So these organisms then start to grow wildly through the countryside, and they're deadly. And indeed, trying to track down what's going on. The wife and the commanding officer kind of try and flee, but they're being surrounded by the flowers. It's a bit Triffidy as well, it has to be said, of course. And just as they think they're about to die, the organisms are clearly fixing to release their spores and release their noxious gas or toxic gas. It starts to rain. This starts to rain, and the rain kills the plants. So again, another influence might be War of the Worlds. It's very similar to the end of the book and various adaptations of War of the Worlds, where Earth itself provides a protection, and indeed the M. Night Shyamalan film with the aliens, whose name escapes me, with Mel Gibson. That one is kind of oh man, I'm desperately trying to look this stuff up, but I can't find it, and I'm going to kick myself when I see it. But it's quite a good film. But again, with that one, something about the Earth, in fact, water is the protecting agent. So it's not Unbreakable, is it? It's it's driving me nuts. Signs. Yes. So this kind of reminds you of other things that came before it. It kind of reminds you of things after it. What the standout really is the cinematography and music. They add to the tension. It's kind of fun. Now, it does feel a little bland in places. I looked at it, and apparently when they first delivered it, it was like 5 minutes too short. So, a much longer sort of prologue and prologue was added, giving it sort of details about the history of what the space station, and sort of extended it. And they kept reusing shots of the external spaceship as well, and they managed to drag it out to its full runtime from 45 minutes to 51 or 52 minutes. There was a few other scenes that were going to be put in, and in fact, certain inserts were put in which dispelled the tension of what caused the deaths. You kind of saw straight away, it was this. And the pre-credit sequence was really long as well. Also, this one turned out to be the highest rated episode of the first season in terms of Nielsen ratings, the most watched episode of the first season. For some reason, I guess word of mouth was getting around and people were interested, but I imagine a lot of people kind of like this and others, it was okay, but you don't really care that much about the characters. There was a lot of sound and fury in this one, let's put it that way. There was a lot of tension, attempts to keep the tension up, and it worked in the main, but there was that. But, in the end, rain killed them. It's one of those. It's a kind of common sci-fi trope these days, isn't it? Really, from starting at War of the Worlds and onwards. Not a bad episode. So, I don't think I've got much more to say about it. So, bye from me. And before I go, may I ask, is anybody out there? I'm not.
We now return control of your television set to you until next week at this same time, when the control voice will take you to